Yes, it's another Moon Knight video. I know, I'm sorry. Last one, I promise. I thought with Moon Knight being a very new character to a lot of people, why not give the casual or the new reader a place to find some of the best Moon Knight stories? Welcome back to the Superior Comic Show. And this is the top 5 Moon Knight comics to read before his MCU debut. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave comments down below of your favourite Moon Knight stories. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
At number 5, we have Moon Knight The Moon Kings, which ran from Moon Knight issue 7 to issue 8 in 1980. This was the early days of Marc Spector, and let's just say the start of Moon Knight wasn't amazing. Doug Moench hadn't quite cracked the code that would make Moon Knight stand out amongst Marvel's other street level heroes, and Bill Sienkiewicz was still restricted to a more traditional superhero comic aesthetic and formula. But the first signs in the change came in this two-parter where a drugged water supply leads to chaos and riots in New York, with Moon Knight being among the affected. Mixes kind of horror and an unreliable grip on reality and that gritty, grounded violence we all know Moon Knight for now, and it set the stage for the type of series Moon Knight would actually become, and still holds up as a very exciting and very formative storyline in Moon Knight's history. At number 4, we have Welcome to New Egypt, which ran in Moon Knight in 2015 from issue 1 to 5. And this was Jeff Lemire and Greg Smallwood coming in following the Ellis, Shelby and Belair run. So they placed Marc Spector in an otherworldly insane asylum, and the story immediately established a unique kind of tone and setting and take on the character that is almost completely separate from the Marvel Universe as a whole, with some absolutely unbelievably beautiful art from Greg Smallwood and upsettingly clever script from Lemire. Moon Knight's first arc in 2015 set the stage for some of the character's most incredible stories ever. A definite must read. In at number 3, we're going back to 1980 and issue 22 and 23, Perchance to Scream. So with Moon Knight's horror kind of tone and eerie aesthetic established as part of his character, Moench and Sienkiewicz tackled another hallucination-filled two-parter. So they put Marc Spector up against the dream altering Morpheus, and it really shifted levels of reality, and just it was weird because it was grounded in both the scientific and the fantastic. It was so grounded yet so wild. It was something else. And Bill Sienkiewicz's art was, it's honestly just, if you're talking about Moon Knight and artist, Bill Sienkiewicz has to be up there and he has to be in the conversation because this was outstanding. And if you want to see what Moon Knight really is all about before the series starts, definite recommendation on this one. In at number 2, we're going to 2014 now, and issue 5 of Moon Knight, the storyline Scarlet. So the most straightforward story in the Ellis, Shelby and Belair run. It doesn't really have any supernatural threats or metaphysical horrors. It's based around a little girl who's being held for ransom in a condemned apartment building full of villains. One very, very, very pissed off, all white wearing superhero. So less said about Ellis the better, but he wisely took a backseat here and let the bulk of the issue be just a spotlight for Shelby and Belair's art. And it's just full of memorable, exciting fight scenes on almost every page from Shelby and Belair, in my opinion, at the height of their game. It isn't anything wild or otherworldly, but it'd be difficult to find a better action-focused story in the last 20-30 years. Now, before we get to issue 1, I'm going to give a special shout out to the current ongoing run of Moon Knight by Jed MacKay and Alessandro Cappuccio. It is really, it's perfect. It's been perfectly timed with the series coming out that it's built up enough issues to get interest there from readers before bringing in now the people who have seen the trailer for the show and are hyped for it. The one thing I will mention as well, the cover for issue 1 by Steve McNiven was just one of the best covers I've seen in recent times and deserves a shout out for that. But I would recommend that to anyone who wants to get into Moon Knight comics. It is still ongoing. There's not too many issues out. I think in and around, heading towards issue 10, so it's still time to catch up, and it is definitely worth it. Now, so my number one must-read comic, the top comic I think anyone should read on Moonknight before watching the TV show in March. We're back to the Lemire and Smallwood run in 2015, and this is from issue 10 to issue 14, and it's Birth and Death. And Lemire and Smallwood, plus Belair, who came in as well, their work on Moonknight, the quality never once dipped. And this was the climax to their run, and in my opinion happens to be the best story the characters had ever. It managed to kind of bring in the disparate elements that Spector had grown over the years, his Jewish heritage clashing with his service of an Egyptian god, and it brought it all into a cohesive whole that just redefined the character. And it really showed respect to Spector as one of Marvel's more prominent Jewish heroes, and its handling of the dissociative identity disorder using medical understanding is just a love letter to everything Moonknight is and can be. I'd say you probably read the first 2 arcs before this if you want to get the maximum effect and the maximum feel for it, but you will not find a better Moonknight story, in my opinion. It just has to be the Birth and Death by Lemire and Smallwood.
Yeah, that was my recommendations of the Moonknight stories to read before his MCU debut. As mentioned at the end there are special shout outs to the current run of Moonknight, which so far has been immaculate. Amazing depiction of the character, and I would highly recommend anyone to add it to their pull list. And it's not too far ahead, so you can easily catch up. So yeah, those are my recommendations. Let me know down in the comments what you thought. Let me know some of your favourite Moonknight comics. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you on Wednesday.